One Saturday morning in early December, my life was becoming so exciting. It was about the time that I started writing a diary. You may ask, why a diary for a puddy tat? The reason is simple. Since we left Paris and came to London with my family, I had been involved in my very first detective adventure. From that time onwards, I had fantasized on becoming the world's smartest cat detective, #1 celebrity Snoopy kitty in the world. The Adventures of Inca, the Siberian Wonder Cat, the best-known detective kitty on the planet, would become a masterpiece, a sure hit, a bestseller. Writing my diary became important as I was on my way to making my dream a reality. 10 days before Christmas, Tuesday. It all started a cold day of December when Polo came running over to our house. You all remember Boss, don't you? Said Polo out of breath. What a question. I felt a shudder run through my furry family. Of course we did. To be honest, he frightened the daylights out of us. Boss was a tough Rottweiler dog who lived down the street next to Polo's house. Boss was big and strong and reputed to have a vicious streak. He went with his master to the park every morning with his head held high. He had a hoity-toity expression on his face, with snooty airs towards any animal that was not at least as tall as him. The only cat that he had any respect for was Monk. Monk could be menacing when it pleased him. Boss is in real trouble, Polo went on, and needs our help. I cannot refuse any doggy in need. You understand, don't you, Inca? I invited him over. What? I gasped, the hair on the back of my neck raised in horror despite myself. You were going to have Boss amongst us? It looks as if he will be parted from Ned, his master. On top of this, Ned is going to lose his home, explained Polo. He went on to explain that Ned had lived in the house owned by old Mr. Finchley since he was a toddler of 4 years old, when his parents, close friends of Mr. Finchley, working as missionaries in Africa, had fallen ill and moved to the other world in the blue skies. Ned had never been legally adopted by Mr. Finchley, but he had continued to live with Mr. Finchley, whom he loved deeply and called Uncle. Mr. Finchley had been a crusty old bachelor and the owner of a well-known chocolate factory. Mr. Finchley passed away a few weeks ago. He had willed the house to Ned and told him about it when he fell ill. He had even shown him a legal paper, his last will, that said so. His nephew Cyril, who was of the same age as Ned, would take over the family business along with the other properties of even greater value than the house. But it now turned out that the will was missing, and Cyril claimed that the house too belonged to him. He had asked Ned to move out of the house and that he would need Boss as a watchdog for the house, and he would have to leave Boss behind when he moved out. Despite my fear of Boss, I hated to see anyone down in the dumps. I felt it was a shame for a proud doggy like Boss to look so sad, even though he had been a dreadful terror up to now. 8 days before Christmas, Thursday morning. With regard to this case, the decision had been made. We were all convinced that Cyril had stolen the will, the legal paper handing over the house to Ned. I couldn't get this case out of my head. I have to go into Cyril's room and search it. I knew it! Nasty Cyril hid the will. I'm going to expose him, and everybody will see how he tricked poor Ned. Ned will then be able to keep the house and his dog Boss. Christmas Day, Friday morning. Now, as I, Inca, the best-known detective Kitty on the planet, solved the case of the missing will, we can all happily celebrate together.